Hello and welcome to today's episode, in which I make some stuffed aubergine rolls that are going to be lovely and light and fantastic tasting, that will be perfect for eating in warm weather. I've had Nigella Lawson's Forever Summer cookbook since it came out in, I think it was 2002. There's lots of amazing recipes in here. She's got this recipe for griddled aubergine that's stuffed with feta, mint and chilli. I really don't like the texture of aubergine normally, but I always used to enjoy these before going vegan. And then the other day I suddenly remembered them and thought, I wonder if I could veganize them. So that's what I'm going to have a go at doing today. I made the pierogi a couple of months ago, which are like little Polish dumplings that are stuffed. And the filling that I used was a combination of mashed potato and like a vegan feta alternative. The cheese substitute was really easy to make and had a really great feta kind of flavour. So I'm hoping it's going to work well in this recipe. My only concern that I suddenly had last night when I was trying to go to sleep is it going to hold together in the roll? Because obviously feta cheese has got some stickiness to it. It's not sticky, it'll clump together. When I was in the shop buying ingredients, I did think about buying just some vegan feta, but I decided to go with the tofu method just to see if it works. I'll make up the filling first and then it's ready to go, just so I'm not splitting my attention too much because I don't want anything to burn. I usually use the tofu brand of tofu because it's really dense and chewy and meat-like. But for a recipe like this, I went for a different type just because it's much cheaper, like £1.50 as opposed to £3 kind of thing. And it's got more of a crumbly, light texture, but that one does need pressing, which I've already done. Just slice it into planks, pad it with loads of paper towel, and then stack heavy things on there. Here is the pressed tofu. I'm going to take my pressed slabs and then just kind of crumble it down. You can use a knife as well, that's fine. I think this might actually be fine because I'm going to put olive oil on there and it is clumping together a little bit. So I think my sudden panic last night was unwarranted. So I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of olive oil. I need some lemon juice, so I'm just going to roll the lemon on the counter. And rolling it and pressing it breaks down the cells of the lemon, so it'll make it a bit easier to juice. I need 2 teaspoons of light soy sauce. I would suggest going for light rather than standard or dark, otherwise it's going to be a really dominant flavour. Good grind of black pepper. I'm going to put in a pinch of nutritional yeast. This tastes kind of cheesy, a little bit nutty. It'll just help with that flavour, but it's not essential by any stretch. I'm just doing a little pinch, so that'll probably be a quarter teaspoon, maybe half a teaspoon. And because it's flaky, I'm just going to kind of dust it down in a pestle and mortar. So I'm going to stir this together, combine it all. It's holding together well, so I don't think I'm going to have any problems when it comes to stuffing the little rolls. Got a 30-gram packet of mint. I won't be using all of it. I'll do 1 stalk at a time. Nigella's recipe just says a large bunch, which is kind of subjective really, isn't it? I'm just going to stack them all together. I'm doing the ends all in the same location. Got my stack of leaves, then I'm going to fold them in half, and then I'll cut the tips off just because they're a bit woody, and then I want very fine slices. Yes, I think I'll do maybe another one of those. I'm going to keep a few leaves back to garnish the top of the rolls. I'm going to put some chilies in. I'm using bird's eye. I needed red chilies and Sainsbury's only had green in the not blow your head off type, so I'm not sure how many I'm going to get in here. I'm going to take the top off and then slice it in half. And then I'll scrape the seeds out. You can leave the seeds in if you want, but I don't really like the texture of them raw in something like this. And they're also a bit bitter. Okay, so let me snip off the tip. Okay, well, they're not even that spicy. So I've stacked them side by side and then just dice them down really fine. And then I'm going to go through several times. Just get it down really fine. Feel free to use whatever strength chili you like. If you hate heat but quite like the taste of chili, maybe buy a sweet pepper, you like the pointed type. I'm going to add parsley into this because I like the flavour of parsley. It's not in the original recipe. Got a handful there, so it'll probably work out about 2 tablespoons once I've chopped it. So I'm just going to scrunch it all up into a little bundle and then go in with my knife. And again, just go back through it. And I've done stalks and everything, because the stalks will have a nice bit of texture. I'm going to tip everything in. Just going to give my hands a really good wash with soap, the chilli, and then combine that together. I think it's probably going to need more lemon. In fact, I'll just do that now. Get the other half of the lemon in. So that is the filling done. Apparently the name for this type of thing, a little roll, is an involtini. I haven't just looked it up online. It can either be meat or vegetable wrapped around a filling. On to slicing the aubergines, eggplants if you're in the States. My slicing skills aren't amazing, so I'm going to try and do this on the mandolin. When I was in the supermarket, I picked 3 that looked great and then was like, oh, they're not going to go on the mandolin, they won't fit. So if you are going to use a mandolin, make sure you get ones that are going to fit the width of the mandolin. The recipe is for 20 rolls. So because these are smaller aubergine, I went for 3. I'm going to set the mandolin on the thickest using that little post there. I'm going to use the griddle for the aubergine just to get some nice patterned lines on there, but you could do it on the barbecue or just pan fry them normally. So I'm warming up my pan just with water in it. And then I've got a bottle brush filled with olive oil. The original recipe says just a brush with oil, but I think I'm going to put on, I've got some salt, black pepper and some mixed herbs. Just a light little sprinkle of each of these, just to give a bit of extra flavour on there as well. I'm going to cut this end off. Okay, yeah, just go nice and slow and steady. How well can I do this by hand? Because they kind of bend and flex in a weird way. Well, potentially. Got 3 of the slices, and then I'm gonna brush on oil. The reason I'm brushing the slices is because if I put oil in the griddle, it won't coat the full slice. And then a bit of salt. See the French sea salt or Portuguese salt that's got some added spices. Bit of black pepper, mixed herbs, that's what I was gonna do. And then I'll keep them on there, and then I need to rotate them perpendicular. We need to go this way. So I think I'll flip them once. I'll take those off onto the plate. They don't seem to be giving me any problems with tearing or anything, which is great. If you don't have a particular thing like an oil bottle, you could use a dish and a pastry brush, or even just put it on your hands and rub it in. Fried off all of the slices. I lost count, there's over 20. So I will pick the best ones. I'm gonna roll them on that plate, and then I'll put them on that plate. Some of the slices had the double bar pattern. When about a third was remaining, I just did single bar, just for a bit of difference, slash boredom. So I'm gonna do probably a teaspoon or so, maybe half a tablespoon. I'm using these fingers to keep it in at the sides. Although that kind of blocks your view, I'm sorry. We've got a nice little roll. You can put more or less filling, but just be mindful, the more filling that's in there, the harder it will be to roll up. So you want to put them down like that, so that the open edge there is trapped by the weight of the thing. Our lovely looking little rolls are all tucked in and looking very inviting. Ooh, yum. I've just remembered I was going to put lemon zest in there as well and forgot. But that would be very tasty in there as well. So they're holding up quite well. I didn't have major issues like I panicked I might. It's not just crumbling out the other end. I think I'm just going to go all in one, because if I bite it, it's going to squeeze out the ends. So yeah, let's just be piggish. Yeah, very summery flavours. Nice pops of salt, little bits of mint, and then you've got lemon juice there, brightening all the flavours up. That's delicious. I'm glad I put the salt, pepper and herbs on the aubergine, because it does add a bit of flavour. There is a fair amount of olive oil on there, but they don't feel fatty. As I was taking the slices out of the pan, I started blotting them on a bit of paper towel just to get some of the excess oil and moisture that gets pulled out of the aubergines. So I'd suggest doing that, because otherwise as it sits, the oil's just going to start pulling out. These are going to be fantastic things to serve like with drinks, if you want some nibbly bits. So if you've got like olives, artichoke hearts, stuffed peppers, or I could do an antipasti, with a nice beer or a glass of white wine, that kind of thing. If you don't normally like aubergine, definitely give it a try, because doing it in this way, it kind of toughens the texture up a little bit. That's not the best way of describing it, but it gives it a nice bit of something. So as you bite down, you hit the aubergine and it's a bit tight on your back teeth. And then as you start working through, it breaks down. It's a similar kind of thing-ish to dolmades, which are the Greek stuffed vine leaves. So you could play around with different fillings. So maybe get some sushi rice, you could do mixed seeds, and then, you know, oil, a little bit of vinegar or lemon juice, and then stuff it into the aubergine, that kind of thing. I imagine you could easily do it with courgettes as well, zucchini. I can't think what the name is, but they look like courgettes, but much fatter. Thank you, Nigella, for doing the recipe in the first place, and then me remembering several years down the line. If you've got better knife skills than I do and a steadier hand, definitely do it with a knife, because that's the amount of waste. That's like at least one aubergine out of the 3 kind of thing. It won't go to waste, so I'm just going to air fry it. So yeah, if you can get thin slices doing it by hand, I'd suggest doing it that way. It's just difficult on the mandolin as well because of the shape, because they've got the fat end and the thin end. There's only so much you can get with the thin end on it, if you know what I mean, like that pear shape that an aubergine has. And because I needed to take a photo and make it look decent for a thumbnail and Instagram, that kind of thing, I kept all the pieces so it looked good. But there are pieces where it started going a bit wonky, so it cut part of the black edge off, so I just didn't use those. But if you're doing it at home, it doesn't need to be a complete piece either. It can be slightly ragged. That's fine. I'm now going to move on into doing another video. I'm going to make hummus. I'm going to do 3 different types, like a basic one and then 2 other types. So all I need to do is say hello and a thank you to my community over on Patreon. It's been a rough few months, and having their support both emotionally and financially has really been a huge support to have. If I wasn't getting their membership dues each month, don't know if I'd be able to do the videos, honestly, because it helps me buy ingredients, but also pay for all the other bits and pieces like music, graphics, all that kind of stuff that comes with having a YouTube channel. If you'd like to give a little bit of support, I'll leave the link to my Patreon down in the description below. There are different tiers, so just pick whatever feels affordable/fair. If you're looking for plenty more plant-based recipes, like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of the videos, tap the little bell icon, and that way you'll get an alert as soon as I publish a new one. While you're waiting for the next one, get your peepers around this.